Welcome to Iowa City in Focus. I'm your host, Katie Roche. I love Iowa City in the springtime. These Midwest winters can really seem to drag on, but if you're anything like me, those first signs of spring make me fall in love with Iowa City all over again. So we sent Lauren Murphy out on the street to find out what some of you like about living in Iowa City. Then, City Manager Tom Marcus focuses in on my favorite weekly event, the Iowa City Farmers Market, which starts up again this month. Lauren?
Hey everyone, I'm Lauren Murphy and I'm downtown Iowa City. I'm standing here with Christine. Christine, I was just wondering, what is your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
My favorite thing about Iowa City has to be being able to walk everywhere. I love the sidewalks. I like getting around without a car.
What's your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
Honestly, I like how everything's pretty close together. I mean, everything's walking distance downtown, and there's a lot of things to do in the nightlife, and so you're always staying pretty busy, and I don't know, pretty fun too, so can't really complain.
There's a lot going on, a lot of music, concerts, so I mean, it's better than living in a smaller city like where I came from.
Well, my favorite thing about living here is the literary community that is present in Iowa City. I'm at the workshop right now, the Writers' Workshop, and it's really amazing to just live around so many writers and to be in the city where there are readings every week, like several readings a week. There are events all the time. It's really astonishing and exciting.
Caleb, what is your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
Well, I happen to like the music scene in Iowa City, especially if it's outside, because I like to dance a lot.
What's your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
I like the music. I really like the pedestrian mall and all the boutiques that are popping up.
Well, I love Iowa City, and that's why I want to stay here this summer. I do love my job. It's pretty easy. I work over at Fitness East, and so I'm excited to work there this summer.
I am standing here right now with Frank. Frank, what is your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
Well, I think there's several things. First of all, I grew up and went to undergraduate school in Ames. I think the two towns are very similar, so coming down here was very easy. I'm now retired, and there's such a wide variety of things to do as a retiree, and there are a number of people like we who are retired, so you have a good group to interact with socially.
What's your favorite thing about living in Iowa City?
I like how everything's close together. I've been to a lot of other schools, visited my friends, and it's really spread out, and I like how the malls here and all the restaurants and everything, so I really like that. So that's what I like probably most about Iowa City.
I'm standing here with Rich Mccarty, one of the professors at the University of Iowa. What's one of your favorite things about living in Iowa City?
It's the diversity of the people, the friendliness of the people. You can walk anywhere in this community and carry on a conversation. The people are so welcoming, especially the students.
Yes, they definitely are. It's definitely a very welcoming community.
I think my favorite thing has got to be the cosmopolitan nature of Iowa City, because this is the only place that you get to meet people from all over the world without actually traveling there. So I have friends from Turkey, from England, and of course from Iowa. And coming from Ghana, there's no way I would have met those people without coming to school here. And so I think the fact that the school is embellished within the city, gives the opportunity to make such cross-cultural connections.
Thank you so much, Ajay.
I'm here with Tammy Newman, who is our Farmers Market Coordinator and really runs the Farmers Market for us here in Iowa City. And I have to tell you, Tammy, one of the first things that Debbie, my wife, and I first sought out when we came to Iowa City is to check out the Farmers Market. We actually came out a week before the interviews, and one of our points was to try and take a look at your farmers market, and we were very impressed with it. I thought it was a great market. It was unique that it was in a parking facility, and so why don't you talk about our farmers market here a little bit, how long it's been in existence, and maybe some new features that we have planned for this summer.
Okay. Well, the farmers market started in 1972. There's a couple ladies that had come to the city and wanted to get a market started, I think in City Park at that time. But I believe then it was about 13 vendors that started. Right. And since that time, we've grown now to about 142 vendors. This year we will increase that amount to over 150, I believe. We have added East Washington Street last year to our venue.
Right.
And we added about 10 season vendors to that, to East Washington Street. We will be adding more season vendors to that area.
Okay.
Included there, we'll have 3 new vendors that I can think of off the top of my head. We'll have one called Griddle Me This, and he will be serving breakfast platters. We'll also have one called Ultimate Chocolates, and they will have chocolate-covered bananas, strawberries, caramel apples, different kinds of candies.
Now, these are all Iowa-grown bananas, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay. All right.
Don't you have Iowa bananas in your backyard? I don't know. And then, let's see, we have one more vendor, James Nisley. He will be serving all different kinds of sprouts and wheatgrass. And I think a lot of people, when they think of that, they're kind of like, really? But we had some of those at our holiday market, and they actually made pinwheels out of them and served them on a tortilla.
Right.
And people raved about them, said they were delicious. So anyway, there'll be another new vendor this year.
Great. And there's some special features. I think there's some features for our children in the community that you run during this to try and teach them about agriculture and gardening and healthy eating and all that. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Sure. We have a Kids Day every fall in September that we run. We have many different people from the community that come and do different programs for the kids.
Great.
This year we're going to change it a little bit. Last year we did some balloon tying and some bubbles, but we also have some people that come and show the kids composting and things like that. And you might not think your kids are interested, but boy, if they can get their hands in that dirt, they absolutely love it.
Yes.
We're going to get more of that type of program. We're going to work with Johnson County Local Food Alliance, and they're going to help us with some of the programs that they've actually taken to the school district, and get the kids involved in more of the agriculture and the healthy eating and that type of thing. Leading up to Kids Day, though, we also do an art contest through the school art programs. The kids turn in drawings for the Kids Day for that year, and the winner's drawing goes on our Kids Day t-shirt for that year. So.
Well, and if you really want to make a change in how we do things in our community, in our state, in the country, usually if you start with education with our children, that's where the big change occurs. So I think that's really a great idea in terms of working with our kids in the community. One of the things I understand is we have a waiting list, though, of vendors that are interested in coming into the farmers market, and that's why we moved out into Washington Street. But it seems to me that we may have even more space out on Washington to expand our vendors and offerings to our community. Is that true?
Well, we hope so.
Okay.
We seem to have a never-ending wait list. When we expanded inside the ramp, we were able to accommodate those that were on our list at that time, got it back to 0. We're now back up to 60 plus. So,
on the wait list?
On the wait list.
Wow.
So we hope that we can expand out onto East Washington more and keep looking at ways to accommodate more people to get them into our market.
And even though I probably indicated that I wouldn't go there, I do want to talk to you just a little bit. There's an initiative, again, by our downtown merchants. They are interested in seeing how they can bring the farmers market more into the downtown area. And while we've talked about different locations for this relocation, there's been no commitments to do that. This is in the discussion stages, and if anything were to happen, it's really contemplated that it wouldn't happen this upcoming farmers market season, but that it would occur in 2012 market season. Is that kind of the talk right now?
Yes, that's correct. We're very early in the discussion process at this point.
And the discussion is kind of focused around Iowa Street as a location. And yet there's concerns even from, I think, the business community that maybe that's not really what they were hoping for in terms of a location that integrates the farmers market with the business community. And then from the other side, the vendors are very comfortable with being located in the parking facility itself. I mean, it's kind of a natural location for them. It's automatically covered. They don't have to bring tents in, but there may be some other options if we can get the two parties together. If we can get the vendors together and we can get the downtown merchants together, maybe they can explore some opportunities to see if we can't come up with some compromise types of positions and make everybody a little bit happier with the new location. So with that, have a successful farmers market season. I'm sure you will. It's been a wonderful market for this community, and I'm sure it will be for years to come. So thanks for all your work on the farmers market, Tammy.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Now let's learn more about a unique Iowa City business that receives support from the City of Iowa City through Cdbg, or Community Development Block Grant Funds. Meet Liz Munger, owner and operator of The Paper Nest.
My name is Liz Munger, and I am the owner-operator of The Paper Nest, which is located at 220 East Washington Street, Iowa City, in the back of Beatology across from the Englert. And I retail printing and bookbinding papers as well as tools. And I also do letterpress printing, so wedding invitations, business cards, things of that nature. I studied printmaking at the University of Iowa and graduated with a BFA in printmaking in 2000, and then traveled around and worked for a while, and then applied for the Center for the Book and was in the Center for the Book for 3 years and focused on artist books, which contained a lot of the stuff that I love to do, which is printmaking and paper making and collage. So that's what I focused on. And during that time was when this business idea came up with a friend of mine, because we were always ordering paper as groups to cut down on shipping costs. And it just got really tiring to always have to be online and ordering paper, and you would inevitably run out of paper, and you would want just a couple more sheets, and you couldn't find a couple more sheets, and so you'd have to order, and you'd have to wait, like the 3 days that it would take to get things shipped to you. So it kind of came up like, oh, we should run a paper store. That would be so fun. And as things go, it just kind of started to become a better and better idea. So we started talking a lot more seriously about it and sort of started working on a business plan. And then a friend of ours mentioned that there was a business plan competition through Papa John's, their entrepreneurship. So we decided we would do that. So we applied for this business plan competition and won. And then had to go on to the next level of competition. And it was, I'm not really, I'm just not much of a business person, although I'm obviously trying to understand it and get better at it. But I'm initially a maker, and so it was totally out of my league. And so it's a bunch of us, hanging out with all these business people. We're all I guess kind of crazy there or something, I don't know, but it was super funny. We really started talking about the Paper Nest at that point and ran into Karen Cubby, who said that she had a space in the back of her store for rent. So we just thought we'd go ahead and check it out and just kind of, I don't know, try to have an understanding of what a what the financial situation would be like in running the business, how much rent would cost in Iowa City, and what a physical space would look like. And at that point, I was starting my final project work through the center. And so things kind of got shifted aside to really be working full time on that. And then once I was done with my final project and I graduated, I came back to this idea. I have another press at home, and so started working on job printing at home. And I had a studio up at the Vine where I put all my inventory. It was a really awesome space, but it was ridiculous because it was second floor and my first paper order was 400 pounds. And it was just insane. So after about a year of doing that, I ran into Karen again. She said, you should come back and look at this space. I still have it, and I'd love if we could work something out. So I came back and yes, this is definitely gonna work, I mean, you know, it had everything I wanted. Ground level, double doors, right downtown. It was really great. And so at that point, Karen Cubby told me about the Community Building Development Grant loan. And around that time, I started talking with a woman who I was doing some job printing for, and she mentioned that she does business financial consulting. And so I started working with her, and she really helped me really get the business plan in order. So in applying to the Cdbg loan, when I did my business plan, I went through like 4 or 5 different edits of that. There are 2 committees that you have to go through. There's kind of an initial committee that passes you through the city council, and then city council either approves or doesn't approve. One of the reasons for the approvals was because my business plan was well made. It really helps to have a good business plan. This is a Chandler and Price Craftsman, which is probably mid-20th century press. And I think a lot of them were used for die cutting, production printings, newspapers, things like that, announcements, things like that. I have a different press at home. I have a Vandercook at home, which is a flatbed press, and this is a clamshell press. This is a lot more conducive to production printing than the Vandercook because I don't have to turn a wheel every run. I can just stand in front of the press and drop paper in and print it. And so you know, there's just a lot of wear and tear on the body after a while. Well, this printing is different from, you know, using like a digital printer. This is physically making an impression on a piece of paper. So it has a very tactile feel. You can see the impression. It's just totally different than a digital. You know, you're using different papers. You're really working with the manipulation of space and ink, how deep of an impression you want to make. It's unique now. It wasn't at one point, but it is now, and it's very beautiful and elegant. And you know, these presses are amazingly sensitive to, you know, different surface heights and, you know, things like that. So there are a lot of different techniques that you can use. Traditionally, they're used with like metal type or wood type, but there's a lot of image techniques. Within the custom printing, the letterpress printing that I do, a lot of times I'll work one-on-one to kind of flesh out what they want and what they're looking for. If somebody wants an image, then I'll do that by hand. So I custom design everything unless somebody already has something, and then I translate that into a plate that can be used in the press. The Paper Nest has 2 entrances. There is one through the alley between Washington Street and Iowa Avenue. And then the other entrance is on Washington Street and you can just walk through Beatology, and I'm in the back. If you are interested in coming by, I have hours from 9 to 1, Monday and Tuesday. I'm closed on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, I'm open 10 to 6, and Saturday, noon to 4. And then I'm closed again on Sunday. I have a lot of different papers, and as well as, you know, just doing the printing. I'm really interested in paper, and one of the things that I can offer is I really like to talk about projects, and if you have a project in mind and you don't know what kind of paper you want to use, I'm more than happy to talk with you about what would possibly be the best paper. So you can stop by, and I'm happy to talk with you about anything or just show you what I have if you already know what you want.
Stop in and visit Liz sometime. Letterpress prints are really tactile, and you really need to see her prints in person to fully appreciate them. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. City Manager Tom Marcus is back at the Robert A. Lee Recreation Center speaking with our city engineer about some of the big projects you'll see get underway this summer.
Thanks, Katie. This morning we have Ron Kanucky with us, our city engineer, and he's going to talk to us about what the engineering department does and some of the projects that you're currently involved in coming up this spring. So why don't you kind of summarize your department and then talk about some of the projects that you have coming up, Ron?
Well, the engineering division, we are in charge of overseeing the right-of-ways. So utility permits that come in, we review those and make sure that they meet our standards. And then we also oversee all the subdivision work that happens. both from the concept design all the way through to final construction. And then on our capital improvements, we are in charge of the design, inspection, and ultimate maintenance of those projects.
The city went through a major flood in 2008, and I know your department is primarily responsible, along with other departments, in getting some of these flood projects underway. And there's kind of two phases to the flood improvements. One is mitigation, and then one is kind of flood recovery. And maybe you could talk about that. I think we're kind of closing in on finishing up the recovery projects, and then we're moving into mitigation. Maybe you could describe the difference and talk about some of those projects.
Sure. The flood recovery projects were kind of the immediate response, getting the streets back open, getting them cleaned up, making any repairs that were there from the flood damage. The mitigation is trying to prevent those damages from occurring in the future. And so we are in the process of planning for some levee projects for mitigation of some neighborhoods and for some of the commercial areas. And then we're also looking at the major projects, which are Dubuque Street, the Gateway project, which is the Dubuque Street Park Road Bridge project, getting those up out of the floodway. And then also the renovation of the south wastewater plant to take the north wastewater plant offline.
Okay. The Dubuque Street project is one of our higher priority mitigation projects, trying to get that out. Do you have any idea how many days, maybe over the last 10 to 20 years, that the Dubuque Street road has actually been inundated with flooding, either one lane or all lanes through that area?
You know, over the last 20 years or so, we've seen around 300 days of closures, whether it be a full day closure or hourly closures of both the north and southbound lanes. About 200 days have been of both lanes, approximately 100 days have been of just a single lane.
Right.
And then obviously with the major flood events, we had around 90 days of closures, both in 1993 and then in 2008.
Okay. We have 3 levee projects that we're working on, 2 towards the south end of the community, and then the Taft Speedway no-named levee project. Maybe you could describe those a little bit for us too.
We'll start off with what we denote as the Westside Levy, and that's the levee on the west side of the river from the new McAllister Boulevard alignment north to the Crandick Railroad. And in that area, it's a flood protection mitigation for Bacchus Mobile Home Park and the Thatcher Mobile Home Park, and then the commercial court industrial area.
Right.
And that one is currently finalizing design, moving on to property acquisition, and we'll hopefully be able to start construction on that this fall.
Okay.
We have the East Side Levee, which will protect the South Gilbert area on the east side of the Iowa River from Highway 6 south to the Crandick Railroad. That project, we're still in the kind of preliminary stages. We haven't hired anybody to do the design yet on that project, but we are going to look at getting the scope out for that project this summer.
Okay.
And then the Taft Speedway levee is one that we are going through the process of hiring a consultant to kind of look at the feasibility of that project and making sure that the effects on the neighbors are positive, both for the people that will be on the wet side of the levee and on the dry side of the levee.
Right. And some of the neighbors have raised some issues with our legislators, and in response to our legislators, we're going to be doing some additional studies in those areas. But when you combine that levee project and the Gateway project, and then the university's Hampshire project, that area could see a substantial change in how it appears, and the gateway that it actually describes as is coming into the community. Are we working with the university to make sure that that's all coordinated and the ultimate appearance all looks like it was all designed together? Maybe you could talk about that.
Sure. We are coordinating with the university. They are actually a member of our technical advisory committee. And then we're also, our designers and the designers for Hampshire are working hand in hand to make sure that the aesthetic, the streetscape parts of our project and their site work together and have a, you know, it's kind of this. It doesn't. One's not an eyesore compared to the other. Right. So we are working together.
Yeah, I've been impressed since I've been here with the relationship between the university and our city operations, and I think that they're forging new relationships as we move forward. And you know, floods sometimes, crises sometimes bring the best out of relationships, and I think that's kind of what's occurring between the city and the university. So I want to thank you and your department for all the hard work that you undertake every year, and you really have a lot on your plate going forward. So good luck this summer and construction season, and hopefully everything goes okay for us. Thanks,
Thank you.
Ron.
We close out each show with a little Iowa City news you can use. Until next time. And thanks for tuning in to City Channel 4's original program, Iowa City in Focus.
The May Day Yard Sale, from May 1st through May 19th. The Domestic Violence Intervention Program hosts an online auction to raise funds for helping individuals and families struggling with domestic violence. Visit dvipiowa.org for more information. The Iowa City Farmers Market. This summer, enjoy one of Iowa City's finest traditions at the Chauncey Swan Ramp and Park. Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m., Saturdays from 7:30 a.m. to noon. Visit icgov.org for more information. The Herbert Hoover National Historic Site presents an exhibit celebrating the many roles and achievements of Iowa's African American women in an exhibit called Our Sisters' Many Hats. May 6th through September 7th, daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visit nps.gov/HEHO for more information. The Friday Night Concert Series. Join your friends and neighbors in the Ped Mall for this free, family-friendly event series featuring live music performed by local bands. Friday nights starting May 20th from 6:30 until 9:30. Visit summerofthearts.org for more information.